Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining our LinkedIn Live session. Today, we are going to talk about SPVs and traditional financing for startup founders and what are the benefits of SPV versus the traditional financing. What are those traditional financing vehicles and where the industry is going here in the US as well as all around the world. Welcome to the show, Ashish. Ashish is the CEO of Startup Steroid, a company which was co-founded by Ashish and myself. And we have a couple of products, and we are briefly going to touch upon that also. So, Ashish, welcome to the show. Tell us the story. How did we start? What was your view then when you saw that there is a need, and how we developed it?
Thanks, Anshuman. Thanks for the warm welcome. Hello, everybody who is watching on LinkedIn or maybe later on who will tune into YouTube to see or listen to this. As Anshuman said, both of us are co-founders of Startup Steroid. And this whole process started a few years ago when both of us started doing angel investing with the Indus Entrepreneurs TIE, which is one of world's largest entrepreneurship organization in more than 12 countries, 60 chapters across the world. And when we started doing that, we quickly realized that there is no tool out there which can help angel investors like us to manage their deal flow efficiently. Just go through the funnel of pre-screening, screening, due diligence, and then making an investment. So just that part, and then also when you are trying to make an investment, how to do an investment, either create a fund, go directly on cap table, or create a SPV. When we started looking around in the market, there was nothing out there. So we said, hey, let's build something. So that's our labor of love in last 2.5, 3 years. And Startup Steroid, I'm proud to say, is the world's only fully integrated end-to-end platform which helps you manage your deal flow all the way to investing either through SPV or fund, and then later on track the portfolio, regular updates, and things like that. So pretty happy and proud to say that we have a good traction now. We have done over 100 SPVs in last couple of years. We have more than 6 funds, I think, under management for various angel groups. About 50 angel groups using the platform, over 1,000 investors. So I can rattle off a lot of statistics. But I'll stop there and say, yeah, if you haven't seen the platform, go to startupsteroid.com, book a slot with us, and we'll be happy to walk you through a demo and see how we can help you or your angel group make your process more efficient.
Thank you so much, Ashish, for the introduction about Startup Steroid. So let's paint a picture. There is a startup founder coming up with a great idea, may have developed an MVP or most lovable product, and now he has invested his own capital. Now he is coming into the market to friends and family around, or
Mhm.
trying to take a grant from one of the government entities or incubator accelerators. What should be the starting point for them? How they should take it forward from here. Obviously, a professional help with a lawyer group or a professional CPA who have experience in the industry of startups certainly makes sense. But what are some of the caveats? What they must look before signing up with a vendor, or before thinking of that, let's have a lot of people on the cap table. What are the pros and cons versus a traditional where investors are writing small checks, friends and family, and then what happens to the cap table, and what has been your recommendation so far?
Right, and Shivan. So that's a great point. When startups are very early in the game in their ideation to pre-seed seed kind of round, they can get any help they want. So they basically would go to friends and family, and generally those are smaller checks, as you said. Just yesterday, both of us we met this founder who said she had like 50 people on cap table with very small check sizes. So what happens really is later on when you have these big investors come in and you need to renegotiate deals or things like that, you have to go to all those 50 people to kind of get those sign off, and becomes very difficult. And also the larger investors, the VCs, they don't like a very cluttered cap table. So yeah, you want to take those checks, but you also want to be judicious about how you put it on the cap table. And that's where this whole idea of SPV or special purpose vehicle came about a few years ago, and it has become very, very popular. In a nutshell, SPV is nothing but an investment LLC which you form, and instead of all those individual checks, maybe $2,000, $5,000 going directly on your cap table, those all become a LP or a limited partner in that LLC. So you have, say, 20 people, 20 friends and family folks who want to give you 5,000 each. Then you put those 20 people onto that LLC, get that 100,000, and then that one LLC becomes a entry on your cap table. So the cap table is very clean. Also, it becomes very easy for later on when you are doing next funding rounds to get a approval from one LLC through the organizer of that LLC instead of going to 20 different people and the updates and everything. It just simplifies the whole thing, and that's why SPV business has exploded in last few years. It's really a great vehicle for founders to keep their cap table clean.
So one is the cap table cleanliness, and that is loved by future investors also, be it the angel round or the VC round or a bridge round and whatnot. Uh, how easy or difficult is to create an SPV for a first time founder?
It's actually not very difficult. I mean, the SPV special purpose vehicle kind of gives it a little bit of an aura, but as I said, it's really nothing. There's nothing special about it. Let's put it that way. It's a LLC, and yeah, obviously, if you are trying to do it independently as a founder on your own, then you need to get CPA involved. You need to get the lawyer involved. You need to form your own documents for subscription and things like that. So it can become pretty overwhelming and pretty expensive also as a founder if you are doing it as a one-off thing, because then you have to do the LLC annual maintenance, tax filing, blue sky filing. There is a lot involved in that. So what we came up with, and this is now just a much easier solution. It's been practiced. I wouldn't say we invented that, but we have kind of put a lot of automation around it through SPV Hub, is creation of a Delaware Master Series LLC. So we take all the grunt work away from the founders. So as long as the founders are able to identify a group of investors and one of them as a GP or a organizer, then all they have to do is come and with a few clicks, they just ask us, hey, this is the SPV, these are the investors, this is the amount we are raising. We do all the hard work for them. We create the master, the LLC under the master, which we have in Delaware. Within, literally within the same day, 4 to 8 hours, we can have the SPV open because we already have documents for the operating and subscription agreement, which we can customize a little bit for each of those investors if they wanted to, and then just get them e-signature ready. Everything is done on the platform, and once investor comes on the platform, it takes them literally 5 minutes to be a part of the SPV. So the whole process gets much more simplified through service providers like us. Obviously, we are not the only game in town, but the things which we are very proud of is the customer service. You will always get somebody during your time zone right away on the phone or through Zoom if there is any issue. And the platform itself has been tried and tested by over 1,000 investors now. So it's a very, very smooth, easy run operation. So for founders, I mean, you shouldn't really have to worry about the mechanics and the compliance and things like that. We take care of that. You just worry about getting the investors, signed up, making sure they are convinced with your story, and just running your business and making it a unicorn. We'll take care of all the hard work for you. Once the SPV is set up, we do the blue sky filing, we do the tax filing, we take care of distribution of the K1. So you really don't have to do anything but take the money and run the company and hopefully give the investors the return they are hoping for.
So basically, a startup founder will come to the platform. They will create their profile, upload few documents, like they need to find a organizer of the SPV. So can you shed some light? What is the typical profile of an organizer? Who could be an organizer? Can the founder be a organizer, or the spouse of the founder could be a organizer of the SPV or not?
Yeah, so basically, organizer is the general partner of the LLC. So there is nothing preventing even a startup founder from becoming a organizer. There are founder-led SPVs we also do. But if you are working with some angels or angel group, then generally one of their lead investors will become the organizer and will organize everything around it. So he will basically apply what we call the SS4 form to get the EIN number and start the process of the SPV creation. Once the SPV is created and all the investors actually sign the documents, then the final document signing is done on behalf of the SPV by the organizer. So the organizer is actually the one who is signing the investment document with the startup, be it your safe note, the convertible, or whatever other agreement you have. So those are the things which the investors have to negotiate with the startup. We are a pure play platform, so we don't really enter that negotiation. We are just providing you the platform, e-signature ready documents, and then all the compliance later on. But as far as the investment terms, the term sheet and things like that, that's negotiated between the investors and the startup founder. But to answer your question, yeah, the founder can be the SPV organizer as well, though most typically we see one of the lead investors become the SPV organizer. And the reason is that once anything is going to happen with the startup, like a acquisition, a buyout, or some VC who wants to buy out the shares of the earlier investors, then those terms and conditions need to be approved by the SPV. So the lead investor can then consult with all the investors in the group and make that decision on the behalf of the SPV.
Okay, so startup founder comes with an organizer, and then they sign a couple of paper, upload the EIN document, so that or SS4, so that the company can take the EIN on their behalf, and that is a series of the master LLC that happens. How long does it take to create the subscription document and the operating agreement that the investor is going to sign? And
As
what
we
is
said, a great question, and I think I referred to it earlier. We can do a same day SPV. So basically, if an organizer comes in and says he wants to open this SPV, this is the startup detail, this is my SSN to go ahead and get the EIN number from IRS. That is the only process which is not fully automated yet. So there is a lag in that. But we can open it up the same day. I mean, the same day SPV, within 4 to 8 hours, we can do that. The subscription document and the operating agreement, which are the two other documents which the investors sign, we have a very flexible template which covers almost all of the scenarios, including management fee, expenses, carry, and things like that. Those, because of the template and nature of the whole document, we are able to get everything ready, as I said, the same day. We can close the SPV in 24 to 48 hours. I think the biggest time delay happens in getting the investors to wire the money. So if you can, as an organizer or a founder, make sure the investors can wire the money in due time, then we can very quickly open and close the SPV. Our platform will help you with that also. So you can bring a list of your investors if you are a first time SPV Hub, our platform user, and upload that spreadsheet onto the platform. The system automatically triggers emails, system triggers the reminders, system can send out a SMS. So it's again, you can see in real time the progress and what has happened, who you need to follow up with. But yeah, in reality, you can do a same day, couple days SPV closure. The fastest we have done is, I think, in three days. Typically, we would see a SPV open for about a month or so, during which time the organizer creates the SPV, invites the investor over, gets the money, and we act literally as a escrow account for you. So all the documents, we make sure they are signed, all the monies have come in properly, and then we make sure that the organizer has signed the investment document with the startup and given us clearance to finally wire the money. And at that point, we wire the money, we close the SPV, we do the blue sky filing, and then update all the investors.
Great, thank you, Ashish. So in a simplified words, the SPV is created, the documents are prepped for e-signature that will go to the investor. The investor looks at the documents, reviews it, signs it. Then a pop-up window will open up, or the instruction to wire the funds will go out. Then they wire the funds, the bank receives the money, the portal gets uploaded and updated, where the organizer of the SPV can see which investor has signed the document but have not wired. And the platform will allow the organizer to send automated email also, right? Like, the reminder and, all those things.
Definitely, definitely. And you got the whole process down to the T correctly. So
Okay, great.
that's exactly how it works.
So, how it is different from a crowdfunding platform, because that is a lot of questions that I get on my LinkedIn post and all that, hey, I'm willing to open the SPV, are you going to help me in raising some funds through the platform? So it is
Yeah,
completely
so
different. So, I would like to
it
get your
is
report on that.
completely different. See, crowdfunding is being done, as the name suggests, through the crowd. What that means is there is no differentiation between accredited and non-accredited investors. Crowdfunding platforms basically can get you, as low as somebody putting in $100, for example. And the other thing is the crowdfunding platforms actually take a cut from your total raise. What we are not a crowdfunding platform. We only work with accredited investors. So there is a self accreditation and a KYC, know your customer process we have in place to make sure that the person who is signing up is who what he says on the document is. So we have some biometric and other verification process, including their driver license or passport verification. So that happens. The other thing is we are not taking a cut from any of the percentage. So you raise 100,000 or you raise a million, we are not going to take a percentage out of it. We just take a platform fee which is fixed. So the price range from it starts at 5,000 and goes all the way up to 15,000, depending on the slab of the size of the raise. But there is no additional hidden charges or things like that. Though we have kind of a pseudo crowdfunding in the sense that if you create a SPV on the platform, you can create it two ways. One is an invite only, where you basically invite the investors who you are talking with and negotiating with, and that way only you get that select card. And the other one is a public SPV. And public SPV, what it does is it kind of displays that SPV in our marketplace to still only the investors who have signed up with our platform. So it's still not live outside on internet for anybody to see. But the people who are already investors on the platform, when they log into SPV Hub, they can see under the open opportunities SPV, which is public. So you might get the benefit of those additional investors also. There's nothing guaranteed on that. It's on really the merit basis for the deal. But that's another way for you to get that exposure. So yeah, we are different from crowdfunding, that we are not taking any percentage cut. We are not dealing with non-accredited investors. But at the same time, we can give you a little bit of benefit of the group we have on the platform, which keeps on increasing as we speak.
Sure. Thanks. There's a question from Akash, and I'm going to bring it on the show. The question is, how long does it typically takes to raise funds through an SPV compared to traditional methods? So let me try to answer that first, Assis, and then I'll hear your comments. So Akash, it is the SPV is a vehicle. You have to have your investors ready with you who are willing to write a check. The SPV is basically, rather than taking all the smaller check which goes on your cap table, you are having a platform where the SPV will be listed on your cap table, and under that SPV, your 10, 20, 100 investor will be part of that, who are basically the LLC owners of that, and it is done in Delaware, and everything is online. But as Asi said, just before I took your question, that if you have an open SPV, all the other investors have the ability through the platform to look at the opportunity. And then if they like it, then there is a mechanism set up in the application process itself. If you, where they can contact you via email, via cell phone, via text message, and then you talk to that investor, and then you can have that investor to participate in your SPV also. Assis, your comments on this, please.
Yeah, well put, Anshuman. So again, I mean, and I think a lot of this confusion comes from the crowdfunding model. So yeah, again, you have to be able to get your investors onto the platform. So the SPV comes a lot later. Initially, you are doing your pitches, you are talking with investors, making sure they uh, like your story and they are willing to invest in it. Then comes the check size, and then when they say, okay, our check size is going to be relatively small, then you will open up a SPV and then invite those investors over. If you are able to find an investor who is putting in a check of 50 or 100K, then you probably don't even need a SPV. You might be able to accommodate that on your SPV, on your cap table, depending on the size of the raise you have. But yeah, there is no difference between whatever you call a traditional method versus SPV in terms of the time it takes to raise the fund. The only thing is, if you are dealing with a lot of small investors, SPV is a much better and preferable way, not only to try and communicate with them as a group, but also later on managing that as you go, hopefully on to your Series A and Series B, Series C kind of rounds, and then end up consolidating, or the later investors buying out the earlier investors. Then SPV would come in really handy instead of having 50 different people on your cap table.
So before I take the second question, or the one of the very interesting question, I would like to ask you this, Assis, who pays for the SPV?
Okay, that's a great question. So ultimately, as we are a platform, so there is a charge for maintenance of the SPV. We maintain it for 10 years. We do the blue sky filing, the HD, the annual taxation, K1s, and then finally a distribution in the end if the SPV closes due to a IPO or a buyout or whatever, or unfortunately if the SPV closes because of bankruptcy, which is also pretty common in early stage companies. So to run all that, we have a cost of anywhere starting from 5,000 all the way going up to 15,000. The good thing is we can do it any number of ways, and we have seen it any number of ways also. The one way is for the investor group to just say, hey, each investor is going to pay a certain percentage which goes towards the SPV cost. So that's one way. And the example can be each investor is putting 10,000, and based on the total raise, we can say, hey, 2% is going to go towards the SPV cost. So each investor will end up paying 10,200. 10,000 goes towards the investment. The 200 from each investor goes towards the SPV cost. The other way could be the founder says, hey, I'm already traveling, doing so much travel, spending so much money going in pitch events. So I'll bear the cost because I already have all these investors. So we can either take that from the raise itself, or we can invoice the founder for our SPV cost. And we have also seen, investor group and the founder working with each other and splitting the cost 50-50. So we can accommodate any of those scenarios. Either the investors pay it fully, the founder pays it fully, or the cost can be, borne by both the parties equally, or whatever they negotiate. So very flexible. We have done all of that. We have all cases covered here. The platform supports a lot of those scenarios automatically. So we'll be happy to work with it. Ultimately, our idea is to make sure that the startup can get the money as quickly as possible, because that's what they need, the money
Exactly,
to
the lifeblood.
scale.
Exactly.
That's the lifeline.
Yeah.
Exactly.
One more question is coming up. Who benefits most by creating an SPV? Startup founder, investor, or organizers?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, and I would say actually it's both the parties, really, right? Because the investors benefit by SPV in a sense that if there was no SPV and then the startup is not taking lower checks, then that means, like me as an investor, I have to put $25,000, say if that's the minimum, into one company. If I were able to go through the route of SPV, then I will be able to put that 25,000 in 5 different companies if the minimum check size on the SPV is only 5,000. So it's kind of a way for distributing my risk into different sectors, different companies. So for investor, I think it's a great thing. Now on the founder side, it's a real benefit as well, and we talked about it earlier in the shows also, is because now I don't have to have such a complicated cap table. So it keeps my cap table clean. It helps me during my decision making for next funding rounds also very clean. So it's both the people. As far as you are talking about the organizer is really one of the investors, the lead investors. So they are the same. I mean, except for the signature of the document, whatever investor does is what the organizer is doing. And most of the time, the organizer is one of the investors as
Yeah.
well. But yeah, it's really very equal. That's why we see on our platform a lot of SPVs which are founder led, but more SPVs till now we have done are actually investor led. So the investors like the company, but they don't want to put a lot of money each. So they will just pool together and just spray and pray kind of thing really in the investment scenario.
Right. Yeah, but I would suggest, as you rightly said, organizer are just someone who is signing the documents on behalf of the startup. And it is completely equal between the startup founder and investor. Investors get the largest benefit by writing small checks in multiple startups,
Mhm.
and a startup founder that their cap table is clean. They don't have to chase, or they are not getting chased by 50, 60 investors for their K1s at the end of the year. Everything is on
Exactly.
the platform, and everything can be managed through the platform. So it becomes very, very useful. And we have our complete back office who will do the tax return, K1 filing, all the compliance filing. Look, when you are taking money from outsider, that too without a collateral, a lot of SEC compliance rules come into play. For an SPV, it start with Edgar filing, and doing the blue sky filing. Every state has their own different ways to do it. So all those things become very, very easy if you go through a SPV provider like us to get it done. There was a question related to what happens after the close of the SPV.
So, see, the SPV officially closes when the money has been wired to the startup and a document which is signed by the startup saying, hey, we have a safe note of this much valuation with this SPV. So, once it closes, all the investors get notified. They all get a signed copy of those documents. So, they all know now that I own 10% of this investment, for example, in this SPV. Oh, so 10% of that safe note or convertible note or whatever. Now, during the life of the SPV, generally, when you are investing in a startup, if you are lucky, you might get a return in first couple of years. But generally, it's 3, 4, 5 years duration when you probably get a return or something. But during that whole process of multiple years, every year you will get a K1 so that you can do your tax filing properly. Also, every 3, 4 months you should be receiving an update from the startup, and our platform enables that also. So the startup founder or their investment contact will get an automated reminder every 3 months or whichever way the organizer sets it, so that they can upload a update. That is one of the gripes a lot of investors have, that oh, we invested in the company but we are not getting the updates. So we have tried to automate that process. And also you can log into the platform anytime and see all the updates, all the documents and things like that. So that's really what is happening during a few years. I saw that question pop up also here.
Yeah.
And until there is an exit or bankruptcy or something, not much is going to happen. And hopefully you have more exits than bankruptcies, but that's how the angel investing works.
So, Asis, we have about 1 minute, 10 seconds, or 20 seconds left. I would like to take one final question, and that
Sure.
is popping up on the screen now. What type of startups are best suited for SPV in terms of industry and stage?
So, I mean, see, SPV is industry agnostic and even stage agnostic. It really doesn't matter which industry you are in, because SPVs, it's special purpose vehicles. So they are investment vehicles, and not only in startups. We have SPVs who are investing in other funds. We have SPVs who are investing in real estate projects. It can be anything. It's just an easy way to pool your money. Having said that, what we have seen mostly is the early stage companies are more in the SPV format, because at early stage your fundraisers are also smaller and the check sizes are also smaller. As you go towards Series A, Series B, B, C, you are talking about much bigger check sizes. You are talking about 100,000, 500,000, that kind of check. So then you can probably accommodate them directly on the cap table. But when you are early on, your valuation is 5 to 10 million. You are raising 500,000, 1 million, and you have multiple people. SPV is one of the best suited format for you.
Thank you so much for the LinkedIn Live event today. We are getting some kudos for that. Thank you so much, Ashish. We will keep continuing this conversation. The next topic will be coming up soon. For the audience, go to our website, startupsteroid.com and startupgamechanger.org to look at our service offering, and hope to work with all of you pretty soon. Thank you so much, Ashish.
Thank you, Anshuman. See you soon. Bye bye.